100%. It was the hardest period for us.
David and Victoria Beckham have been together for ages, but now it looks like they might be falling apart. From Victoria lying on TV to David's alleged past mistakes coming back to haunt him, it looks like there might be trouble in paradise for these two. David and Victoria were always considered the perfect celebrity couple. For some reason, they always seemed different and more put together than other couples. But these days, that doesn't seem to be the case anymore. And it all started last October after the Beckham documentary hit everyone's screens. Obviously, there were a lot of noteworthy moments that happened in the documentary, but there was one particular scene that took everyone by surprise and had us all talking. In this scene, Victoria was talking about her family and how she grew up. According to her, her family was very working class. Now, at first glance, there isn't anything wrong with this statement. There are millions of working class families around the world, and it's not a crime to admit your family is one of them. But the issue is that Victoria was lying. It only took David a couple of seconds to call her out for her lies. In the documentary, he challenged her by asking what car her dad drove her to school in. At first, we all thought that David was trying to be funny, and so did Victoria, because she did everything but answer his question. But after a while, it became pretty obvious that he wasn't trying to crack a joke, and Victoria had no choice but to answer. And she said that her father drove her to school in a Rolls Royce. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like a Rolls Royce isn't something that working class people can afford to drive just like that. Not now, and especially not in the 80s. This scene caused a lot of backlash for Victoria. But apart from the backlash, it also raised a lot of questions. Questions that we may have been ignoring for too long, because David and Victoria's relationship just seemed so perfect. Now, it's one thing for your partner to call you out when you aren't being honest, but it's a completely different thing for them to call you out on TV in front of the whole world. This is exactly what David did to Victoria. But why would he do something like that? One theory is that maybe David actually wanted Victoria to look bad, because throughout their marriage, he's been the only one getting dragged online, starting with the whole cheating fiasco. Back in the summer of 2003, David had just signed one of his biggest football contracts, and life couldn't have been more perfect for him. But then, after his big move to Madrid, it didn't take long for the cheating accusations to start rolling in. Apparently, David was caught kissing a woman who wasn't Victoria, and I'm sure I don't have to spell out the type of impact this had on him and Victoria's marriage. When the rumors of David's affair started spreading, some major newspapers were more than ready to pull the plug on the perfect life David and Victoria had created for themselves. Now, there are two ways this could have gone for David. He was either going to get exposed as a cheater, or he was going to prove that he wasn't one. Obviously, the woman he was supposedly having an affair with, Rebecca Luce, knew this. Rebecca was David's assistant, and she decided to reach out to the major newspaper and let them know that if somehow this case blew up and she got taken to court because of it, she had proof of the affair. According to her, she could perfectly describe an intimate part of David. When Victoria got wind of this information, she decided to carry out some damage control. She made David fire Rebecca before the news broke, and from there on out, all they did was deny the affair. But Victoria did admit that the period when all of this was happening was a really challenging one for their marriage. Still, whatever damage control they did worked well, because for the most part, Rebecca kept quiet about the whole affair issue. However, she did speak up after the documentary was released. According to her, she couldn't stand getting called a liar by David and Victoria when they knew fully well that something had happened between her and David. Whatever the case may be, the theory is this. Because of this affair, Victoria always had the upper hand in their relationship, and David didn't like this. So that was why he decided to call her out on TV so that he could at least get some leverage. Now, I know what you might be thinking. 20 years is a long time to hold a grudge. If this is what happened, why didn't David just end their marriage? It's not like he doesn't have his own money or anything like that. Well, allegedly, the reason why he and Victoria are still married to this day is because of the brand they've managed to build for themselves over the years. The Beckham brand. Leaving Victoria just isn't worth losing the brand. At least that's what the conspiracy theorists think. I mean, it does make a lot of sense. Or at least it did make a lot of sense. When David and Victoria first got together, Victoria was worth a lot more money than David was, and she was probably even more famous than he was. But over the last couple of years, their roles seem to have reversed, with Victoria's Victoria's career taking the backseat and David being the one to shine in their relationship. I mean, he even admitted to investing millions of euros in her business yearly. So if you really think about it, Victoria would be the person to lose more if their marriage ended today. That being said, chances are that they would both suffer. Sure, Victoria might suffer more, but David is still part of the brand, and he would definitely lose out on some opportunities too. So maybe that's why they're still together. But what do you guys think? Did you watch the documentary? What do you think about David and Victoria as a couple? Do you think they might be falling apart, or are they actually just fine? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below.